Alright, so I'm recording this after the fact, but I recorded a bit of video today. We're going to see how it turns out regarding some of my story of this last week, of a fight that I've been fighting. I've been having a bout with depression lately, and for the first time in the last year that it's been pretty bad, finally taken some initiative to do something about it. I don't know if this is going to be a regular thing or not for me to kind of reach out to everybody and share my story or what, but I felt really compelled to do it today. The weather's been kind of hit or miss, with some sunshine and spouts of heavy rain and whatnot, so I decided to take Titan out to the lake to go enjoy it while we can. But it's a longer one. I don't know how long I've been out here, but I want to encourage you guys to watch it. If you're struggling with depression now, or if you ever have, I don't know if it'll help. I'll be honest, but I hope it does. That's my hope behind it. Maybe I'll be able to reach out to somebody who feels lost and alone, and like they're the only ones dealing with it, or something like that. It was kind of my goal and my intention today. So, if you only watch a part of it, or you want to come back to it later, or whatever the case may be, I encourage you to take the time to stop and look at it. Give it a listen if you can, play it in the background or something like that, and hopefully it helps. I hope that it does. Or if it doesn't help, maybe it gives you the courage or makes you aware if depression's something that you don't understand or you've never struggled with, or something like that. I'm trying something new. I've had a bad season, and I'm finally looking to pull myself out of it. So I think this is a tool I'm going to use to share my thoughts. Anyways, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, comment if you have something to add. And I'm really looking forward to some feedback. If there's something that I've said that's been helpful or hasn't been helpful, and it might be blatantly true, ask your question in there, because I'm not sure. And so if you have something to add to the conversation, please do. I want this to be a conversation. This is sort of my way of opening up to everybody, because I want some input. I want some opinions. I want looking for some love, looking to make new friends, looking to rekindle old friendships and relationships and ignite new ones. So if this does something for you, share it with your friends, share it to whoever you feel compelled to, and I hope that you get something out of it. And if you don't, that's great. Appreciate it if you didn't tell me that you weren't getting anything out of it, but if you feel compelled to, then it's your life. Do what you got to do. Anyways, thank you for taking the time to stop and look at this, and look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Come on, Pooch. Come on, Titan. Come on. Come on. Come here, bud. He listens really well. He really is a great dog. And this right here is one of the few bits of him being a husky that is actually holds true. He doesn't tear stuff up, and he's got a lot of energy, but he's really calm and mellow. But very independent as well. He hates the water. But yeah, no, he definitely does not need me. It's really kind when he chooses to listen, that's for sure. Not because he feels compelled to, but because he wants to. Come on, bud. What a good boy. What a good boy. Yes. Yes. Hero pose. Oh, I'm so glad I got that car seat cover. I'm sorry I haven't been taking you out like this, bud. Have not been in a place where I felt that I could. And the weather hasn't been super nice, but that's not an excuse. That's an excuse. It's not a reason. It's not a justification. Which honestly kind of leads me to a bit of a topic that I'm wanting to discuss with you guys. That's making excuses for myself. Let me find somewhere to sit down. Keep you guys from wandering quite so much. Get back to you in a second. So, in the last week, been a week now, I've been tackling a lot. I didn't realize where I was as far as my mental space goes, my health, all those kinds of things, until I had somebody who's really close to me tell me, hey, you got to do something because I can't handle it. Which at first to me seemed really selfish of them, to think that I was doing something that affected them so negatively. But then I realized that it's not them being selfish at all. It was them being honest and as loving as possible. Being able to say, to come to me and tell me that I am not the best that I can be. I'd argue that I was terrible, and I just didn't even realize it. I was so stuck inside my own head that I thought I was okay. I thought I was fine. I thought it was this great gift to the world, and realized that this last week that's just not true at all. It has some truth to it, but mentally I was not there. That's not where I was. And from this, this last week, I've had a lot of time to kind of sit and think and connect. I haven't been quite as distracted as I've been making myself. I've been doing things to keep myself busy, to keep myself distracted so I wouldn't feel the things that I was feeling, experience the negative thoughts that I was having, feelings of disappointment and anger and sadness and a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame there. And I didn't realize how depressed I was. Depression is something that I've dealt with in the past and thought I was okay. It was about 2 years ago was the last time that, 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago. It's the last time that I had a real bad bout with depression and kind of acknowledged it. About 6 months later, realized what was going on because I was so angry. I was so sad. I felt a lot of angst and hopelessness. A lot of feeling alone, hopeless and alone. Those are the two biggest things this go around that I've noticed, and it's something that I need to tackle and be proactive about. It really sucks that it took this person coming to me and sharing that with me, and in turn hurting me. But it was a harsh love. There was a lot of love in what was said. To be able to come out and tell me, not sugarcoat it, just be real upfront and straight about it, and say, hey, you need help. And they'd offered help before, and I was like, no, I don't need it. I'm okay. I don't need anybody's help. I can do this. I can do this on my own. And a lot of that's pride. There's a lot of pride that I have that I need to work through. Too prideful to ask for help. Thinking, I can do this by myself. I need to do this by myself. And I don't know where necessarily that desire to feel compelled to live life alone, to be alone and not need anybody comes from. I know some of it's a desire to be self-sufficient. self-sufficient, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. That's a really good thing to find yourself in a situation where you are alone, you are by yourself, and be able to say, hey, I have the skills and the tools that I need to get through this, whether it's at work or it's at school or it's a relationship that you have with a friend or a family member or something like that. Having those things is good. It's good to be self-sufficient and self-reliant. And that's a lot of who I am. I'm a very independent person. I like to think I'm pretty strong-willed, and I don't know if it's just a natural tendency of mine to want to be alone versus a side effect of the depression that makes me feel like I am alone. I know I do find some solace in solitude. Being alone really helps me clear my head and think. But I don't think that the feeling of being alone is good. And that's something that it's been since last May. It's been almost a year that I've felt this need and desire not to be alone, but that I was alone. It's not a need and desire. I felt that I was alone in this life. I have people around me. I have friends and family, and co-workers, and girlfriends that all love me a lot. They want to be there for me, and they probably could tell. They could tell. They came to me, shared with me that, like, hey, is something going on? Are you okay? And for so long, I was lying to them. And a lot of it was because I was lying to myself, first and foremost. I couldn't bring myself to say, no, I'm not okay. I couldn't tell myself that I needed help, or that there was something wrong, and that I needed somebody to be there for me. I felt that I needed to do it alone. That whatever it is that I was dealing with was something that I needed to do by myself. And I realize now that that's not true. That's not true. I need somebody's help. And I'm getting that. I'm getting that. This isn't a plead for help or something like that. Although if you want to offer it, I'll gladly take you up on it. But I needed help. I need help because I can't do it alone. This one life that I have isn't meant to be lived alone. And the pride that I carry that convinces me that being alone is something that I need to do, or I don't know exactly what, but that feeling of isolation and of loneliness and of hopelessness isn't something that I need to feed. And I've gotten really bad about feeding that. I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic, and not just in romantic relationships, but as far as romanticizing hopeless things. That's a good way to put that. The feeling of being depressed and of being alone and listening to sappy, terrible, sad songs when I'm feeling that way, kind of nostalgic, I guess. I feed into that a lot, and I need to not do that, because I realize now that that's doing so much more harm than it is good. I apologize about the wind noise there. And it's difficult to kind of rewire my brain to think in a more positive way, and to tell myself that I don't have to do this alone. I don't need to feed those feelings, those thoughts that are there. I don't know why. I know why they're there, because I have depression. I've been ignoring that and choosing to say, no, it's not a problem, and that I don't need to address it, which isn't true. So I am addressing that. In this last week, I've not spoke with my doctor yet, but I'm going to. But she was kind enough to refill a prescription that I had for some antidepressants that I was on about 2 years ago. That seems to help a lot, and it's shame on me for stopping taking them. That was my choice, because I thought I was better. They were probably helping. There was a lot of other things going on, but also this last week I reached out to my church, to my pastor, and said I need some help. up sitting right in front of them the whole service. I got booted out of my seat by another gal, and so I had to move. And at the time, I was like, "Oh, that's really rude and mean of her to do that." But I realized it was God saying, "Hey, get over there. I got some people you need to meet." So choosing to look at it in that positive light was difficult in that moment. But then after the service was over, and the husband of this team that's going to be in charge of the counseling I'm doing, reached over and grabbed me on the shoulder and said, asked if you want her. That's what it ended on. And I was like, oh, that wasn't a bad thing, a mean thing that they did. I felt hurt in the moment, but it was meant to be. No, that's what was supposed to happen, and it's difficult to do that for me. I tend to be pretty cynical, kind of negative and egotistical in a lot of ways about my perspective on people and on life. And a lot of times I thought that's how everybody was. And then, the girl I've been dating, she said to me one day, I mentioned something like that, and it said something along the lines of, "Oh, well, everybody's terrible, and they're all out to get you." She's like, why do you think that? Why do you feel that way? Why do you not choose to believe that everybody's good? And a lot of that's just some personal experiences that I've had in being hurt. And it's not kind or fair of me to put that experience onto the rest of the world, because it's such a small percentage of people that hurt me. Some of it could be hurt that I brought on to myself. And in that moment, while talking with her, and even the weeks that followed, she mentioned that more than once. And I chose to just kind of blow it off as, she's got this lost hope that there's good in the world. That my perspective, it wasn't cynical, it was realistic. And it's not. It's hopeless. It was me feeding those feelings of sadness and of isolation and of depression. Choosing to give in to those negative thoughts and feelings that I was having, rather than saying, "Hey, there's better things out there than just this little bit of lost hopelessness that you have." And it's difficult to do. It's difficult to try to rewire myself to believe that isn't true, or to think that there's good in the world. Once I take a step back and I pull myself out of that hole of depression that I have, that's how I've decided to describe how I felt these last 11 months, almost a year, is I felt like I was in a hole, just kind of like the movie Holes, but deeper. I envision myself looking up, and you can see the light, but the longer you look up at it, it gets further and further away. The light in the sky gets smaller and smaller, and your hope of getting out of there, of being able to move forward and pull yourself out, it's just gone. And instead you try to run from the hopelessness, and I was doing that by digging the hole deeper and deeper and making things darker and darker. And that's not good. That's not good. And then it's rough. Dealing with depression, it's rough, and it's not something that I choose. Nobody chooses depression, to be depressed, to have those negative feelings and thoughts. And anybody who believes that they do, feels that it's a choice that they make to be sad, to be depressed, and just not doing anything about it. It's really unfortunate that they don't understand. And somebody who's never dealt with it, they can't understand. They feel that you're choosing to be sad, that you're choosing to be upset and whatnot. And there are moments and times in life where you can choose to be angry. You can choose to be mad or upset with the world or something, as a response to something that somebody did or something along those lines. But when you're battling and combating depression, it's not the case. It really isn't. I was somebody who felt that way. For a lot of years, there's many members of my family who struggle with depression, and to me, I always thought it was this choice. Or they're choosing not to do these things to help themselves get better. They're choosing to be sad. They're choosing not to, to go to school or to go to work or to go, whatever, because they're lazy or because they don't care or something like that. And that genuinely, that's how I felt. And I was an asshole, plain and simple. Looking back, that wasn't me trying to be, show some tough love or something. That was me being a massive dick because I was choosing not to understand. I was choosing not to listen and to not be hearing their cry for help. And that's what it is it's oftentimes it's a silent cry for help. It's a need to be loved and to have somebody there. And it's not even like, somebody to fix the problem, because unfortunately, depression's not something that you can you take this pill and it's better, or you go do this one thing and your problems are fixed. That's not how it works. There's a lot of things that feed into it. It can be your environment, it can be the people around you, it can be mental chemical imbalance for sure. So there's no one thing that you can do, and to look at somebody and tell them, oh, well, you just need to do this, this, and this, and it'll be better, and then they don't do it, and then you're angry with them or you're upset with them because you're like, well, these are things you can do. Why aren't you doing them? Well, it's because they're in that hole that I described. They're in that hole of darkness and hopelessness and loneliness and being alone. I can't speak for everybody, obviously, because everybody's experience is different. Everybody's lives and struggles are different. But speaking from my own, that feeling of being in that hole by myself and my only option being down because going back up is just impossible, that's how they feel. And when you're down in that hole, you don't have the motivation to get up and call your doctor, to talk to them about being put on medication. You don't have the willpower to reach out and seek the help you need, whether it be from your friends or your family or getting professional help or whatever the case may be. Something that worked a lot for me last time and that I need to start doing soon, especially because I have a half marathon I'm doing at the end of the week, is exercising. And you're like, oh, it's easy to do. And you can go out and just start walking. That's what I did back when I lost like 80 pounds 2 years ago. I tried to run, but I couldn't, so I walked. And I went from not being able to run a mile to doing a half marathon in 10 months, and I lost, it's damn near 80 pounds. But it's a struggle, and it's a conscious choice to do that, to be able to will yourself out of that hole and say, no, I'm not going to choose this. There's things you can do in your life to choose to stay in that hole, and there's things you can do to choose to get out of it. But until life puts you in a position or somebody is kind enough to stop and say, hey, you need help, a lot of times somebody who's in that hole of depression, they just can't do it. Life to deal with and to worry about. And for me to ask her, say, hey, make me happy, it's unrealistic. It's not. It doesn't work that way, because I got to be responsible for myself, and I feel really responsible for my family. They've never asked me to do it, but I've always felt it was my job to be there for my family, and which is good. You should be there for your family. I'm not saying that's bad, but I felt it was my responsibility to see them be successful, and to see them be happy, and to see them, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not. If I can be there to help, then fantastic. If you can be there to do something for your family, that's phenomenal. Do that. If the people that you love and enjoy need you to be there for them, then be there for them if you can. And if you can, it's very important. I when I think of this concept of if you can, what I immediately think of is my mom. Because growing up, there's always people, friends, relatives. Some of them were strangers who my mom would allow to live with us and stay with us for extended periods of time, and there was usually short term, just a month here, a couple months there, or whatever. And it's because she has this huge heart for helping people. To when she sees somebody in need, to extend herself and do as much as she can to help those people out, which is good. It's good to do that if you can. Now, that was a problem that we eventually ran into while I was in high school. Was she was doing all these things for these other people, but she wasn't doing anything for herself. And if you can't first take care of yourself, then you certainly cannot take care of anybody else. Like raising a child, I don't have kids because I haven't found somebody to do that with. But I need to be able to take care of myself first before I can be responsible for another human being, for another life that is going to depend on me. I have Titan over there, and thank God he doesn't need me. He loves me a lot, and he's helped me a lot since I adopted him, but he doesn't need me, and anybody could take care of him because he eats and he sleeps, and if you let him out to play, he plays, and he's great. He's great. But to be able to be there and be present for the people that you want to help, you can't do until you can help yourself. That's something I spoke with a therapist about, counselor, whatever you'd like to call them, yesterday morning, and I didn't realize that I was in that position that I saw my mom in all those years ago. And I was like, wow. And for whatever reason, I've got this concept that if I do something for myself, that it's selfish. That for me to do something for me, for my health, for my life, for my whatever, that it's selfish and I shouldn't do those things. Instead I should take that energy and I should put it into the people around me. Which is good to do if you can. Discussing with my counselor and with the people around me, it's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's not selfish to take a shower and, to eat healthy and to exercise and to do the things that make you happy. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. I've realized that lately I've been putting more energy into the people around me than into myself, and I haven't been taking care of myself, mentally and physically and spiritually and emotionally. I haven't been doing what I need to do to keep myself healthy, and that's affected my life. It's crippled my ability to motivate myself to do much. I finally feel good about going back to school, and for the first time since I started my new job, I actually feel a passion to do it and to try to connect to the people that I work with. And it's really, really severely affected my relationships with the people in my life. My best friend, he and I, probably the last 6 months, just really haven't been on the same page, and we've known each other since we were 8 or 9 years old. And to feel kind of like a stranger with somebody that I live with, I'm like, that's not right. And as far as being with my family goes, it's always been important to me to go be with them, to spend time with them, and to be close to them. And I felt really distant. And it doesn't help that one of my sisters is right now choosing not to be a part of my life, which brings me a lot of sadness. But it doesn't help that I haven't been doing anything to be a part of theirs either. I've felt like because I'm not doing well, that I need to not be around anybody to sort of feed them this negative energy, and that's not the case. I needed to be with them to bring me some joy and to be able to say, hey, I need some help, and to ask for it, ask for opinions and see what's going on, because they've known me for 23 years. They should know best about what's going on with me. And then Megan, finally she's like, I can't do it right now. with me, and that brought me a lot of sadness. We still talk. And we'll see where that goes, but to know that I was, I thought I was okay, and I knew I was having bad days, and I was grumpy, and wasn't as kind as I should have been, and just on and on and on. There's things that I felt I haven't been choosing to acknowledge or try to find out why I felt that way. And it's because I wasn't doing well. I was so depressed that I couldn't function. Which sounds pretty petty, but getting out of bed was a struggle. Going to work was a struggle. Motivating myself to smile whenever I saw somebody who brought me so much joy in my life was a struggle. And if you're facing that struggle, don't feel like you have to do it alone. Don't feel like you have to be by yourself while you're hurting, while you're struggling. Because all it's going to do is it's going to fuel that fire to dig that hole deeper and deeper and deeper. And really what you need is to look up and realize, hey, hole's only 6 feet deep. If I ask for somebody to stick their arm down here and give me a leg up, I can get out. It doesn't always feel that way. Some days it feels like the world's taking a bat at your knees and you can't get up, and your voice is harsh, and it's difficult. It's hard to ask for help. I don't like doing it because I am so proud, and because I feel this need to do it alone, be self-sufficient to whatever. But you don't have to. You really don't have to. If you want to be present in your life, in your relationships, in your education, in your job, in your, whatever it is, in order to be present there, you have to connect. It's like showing up to a car meet doesn't make you a car just because you happen to be physically present in whatever it is that you're doing with your life. Doesn't mean that you are actually there. And the former of those two, of physically showing up, but not mentally or emotionally being there, is what I've been doing for the last year. I've been doing the things. I've been going to work. I've been going to church. I've been going to see my friend, and I've been going to see Megan and to see my family. But spiritually and emotionally, I wasn't there. I was somewhere else. I was somewhere in this isolated place where I felt alone, and I'm like, I'm at my family's house. I'm with my 5 siblings. I'm with all these people, all these children and the elders and whatnot. But I'm sitting there. I'm like, no, I'm alone. I feel alone. I feel by myself. And a lot of that I attribute to technology. I recently took Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram and all those distractions off my phone. By recently, I mean last night, because I realized how detached they were making me from my life. To have myself buried in my phone. Social media is great if it's used properly, but I haven't been using it properly. I've been using it to escape reality and to distract myself from the way I've been feeling, rather than addressing the way I've been feeling and working through it. And it's an easy choice to just be distracted, or to run, or to stay busy, or whatever, rather than dealing with the things that hurt and that are hard. It's hard to do hard things. It's not easy to pick yourself up, say, hey, I need help. Or to say, was it 2 nights ago? I was laying in bed, and it was like midnight, 1 o'clock. And I just felt really alone. And as I'm laying there in my bed trying to get Titan to come and join me, he came to the bed, but he didn't hop on. And I felt really hurt by that. I felt really alone. And I'm like, he's not meaning to hurt me. He doesn't, he's not trying to emotionally punish me for something. Because he made all that effort to come across the room and come lay next to me, which showed that he loved me and whatnot. And I reached out to him and was petting him, and he was happy as could be. But I felt alone, and my reaction and what I started to do is I laid in bed, and I started crying. I laid down on my stomach, buried my face in my pillow, and I started crying. was like, why am I so alone? And I started praying, and I'm like, dude, this is a choice. This is a choice to feel alone. You know, there's 6 other people, I don't know, 5 other people in the house. You're not alone. You know, it's one of them's still awake. Go be with them. You know, and thank God for Ryan. And I went upstairs and came and sat down in the recliner at first, and I was like, no. I have a sectional, an L-shaped sectional, and grabbed a pillow and a blanket, and I laid down with him because he's where he was sleeping that night. And I was like, you can't sleep? And I lied. I said no, I couldn't sleep. The truthful thing to say would have been, well, yeah, no, I can't sleep, but I don't want to be alone tonight. It's hard. It's hard to acknowledge that, which is why I didn't, and I should have. But just being near somebody brought me a lot of joy. Made me not feel so alone. And it was hard to do. It was hard to muster up that courage to crawl out of bed and tell myself, no, you're not alone. You know, because the thoughts that were there, I was feeding them, and I was like, why is this happening? Why is this the way that my life is going? And I realized, no, the answer is simple. The solution is there. It's literally 12 stairs away. Get your fucking ass out of bed and go be with the people that love you. I realize not everybody's lucky enough to have that, or have those people, but they're out there. I made a new friend this week. First time in a long time. It's a guy I've been working with for the last 4 months. He's been there the whole time. And this last Tuesday morning, last week, he could tell something was off. And he asked me, "Are you okay?" And I don't remember exactly what I told him, but I shared what was going on. And it was hard for me to do, but it was obvious. I was angry. I was truly angry. I was throwing stuff, and I was yelling and shouting, and unfortunately it was before he was there. But I was there alone. I was at work, and it was these little things that on a normal day I would be like, oh well, it's whatever. Whoever did this, they didn't do it out of spite or out of hatred or out of whatever. They just forgot. They were busy. They were in a hurry. I don't know, but I was hurt. There was a lot of anger there, a lot of frustration that had probably been building up. Earlier that week, that Sunday night, I snapped over coming home and not having my normal parking spot. So instead of parking right in front of the house, I had to go down the hill a bit and park in front of the barn. I got really angry. I got really, really angry. And something like that shouldn't have made me as angry as I was, but that was sort of the straw that broke my camel back. I was carrying all this weight, and it's just one tiny little thing. It's what set it off. And if I would have just shared with anybody what was truly going on with me prior to that Sunday, the load I had probably wouldn't have been such a big deal. Oh God, it might not even been there at all. The burden that I carried, that wasn't my burden to bear, that nobody asked me to carry. Nobody came to me and said, hey, you need to make me happy, or it's your job to make sure that your family's okay, or it's, whatever situation applies to you. If I would have opened up, it wouldn't have been such a big deal. And what happened later in the week probably wouldn't have happened, because I wouldn't have felt all these feelings and been blown up. And God, it's hard. Life is hard, man. But there's answers, and there's people who love you, and that's something that I'm really struggling, but very consciously and very actively working on, is reminding myself that there's people who love you. It can be kind of difficult. Like when I'm on Facebook and I'll say something, they're like, "Oh, I'm here for you." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." They're probably just saying that because they feel guilty, because they feel bad or whatever. But that's because I'm naturally a cynical person, and it's in my nature to say, "Oh, well, that's not true. Well, why would they do that for me? I would never do that for them." And in hindsight, I would. I want to be that person who can be there for people when they need help, and is willing to help. Will do what I can when somebody else needs me. Because on my good days, of which I've had a lot more lately, that's who I am. When somebody says they're hurting and they need help, I'm like, "Oh yeah, what can I do? What can I do to help?" And for the first time in a while, it's not because I feel obligated to, it's because I genuinely want to, and because I feel able, I feel capable of doing that. And I haven't been capable lately. I've been overworking myself emotionally because I wasn't dealing with my own emotions. I had this full bottle of Coke, if you will, and stuffing Mentos in there, and it's erupting, and I was watching it erupt. I was like, "Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'll clean up the mess later. I'll just keep shoving the Mentos in there, and the spout. Every time you add just a little thing, a little gumdrop size thing, goes. I'm like, no, that's fine. That's fine. I know how to fix it. I knew what the problem was. I said, no, that's fine. And it wasn't. And it's okay to say, no, it's not fine. There's nothing wrong with being honest and telling yourself that, hey, problem's right in front of you, and you know what it is. Maybe do something. Maybe don't ignore it. maybe don't push it aside and think that it's somebody else's job to do it when it's your life, it's your choice, it's your, whatever the situation may be. Do something about it. I was asked, what are you doing to do it? And I said, oh, well, I'm doing this. I can do this. And I was lying. I honestly, I was, I wasn't doing anything to help myself before, in the last year. Part of it's because I didn't acknowledge what the problem was, and part of it was because I just had no motivation to do it. I felt that's what I deserved. I felt I deserved to be unhappy and to feel alone and to feel all these terrible, horrible things. I don't. Nobody does. Nobody deserves to feel that way. Nobody deserves to feel like they don't matter, or that they're not cared for, and that they're not loved, and they're not whatever. And it can be kind of hard sometimes. If you're having a rough day and you're like, oh, well, I've been mean or I've been angry, so why I don't deserve to be loved because I'm not putting it out there. It's not how it works. You love the unloving, and you love the unlovable, because it's probably because they've been hurt and they've been unloved and whatnot, that they haven't felt it, so they can't do it for somebody else. You can't reciprocate a feeling that you don't yourself feel, and if you don't see it happening in front of you, you can't do the same back. And in hindsight, I've had people that tell me, drive safe. Whenever I leave, leaving my family's house, leaving my friend's house, leaving work, whatever, say drive safe. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Yeah, I do. I always drive safe. Or for the most part, I do. Drive a little too fast sometimes and a little too distracted sometimes, and whatever. But I've never been in a car accident. Knock on wood. How's it go? They're just saying that because they felt like they have to. But then this last week, yesterday, I was riding my motorcycle, and I was just exploring the back roads of my house, and next thing I know, I'm in Scio. I was like, oh, I didn't realize how far I was. And I have a friend who lives in Staten. I was like, oh, well, I'll just go see them. So I rode the rest of the way to Staten. Took a different way than I did last time, or the times I've been there, because I wasn't just following roads. I didn't know where I was exactly. And I stopped and I had lunch, and it turns out they're across the country right now. But texting a friend, and they said, I was telling them I was getting ready to take off and head back home, and they said, ride safe, or drive safe. And in that moment, I was like, oh, they say that a lot. They say that, have said that every time I've left them, left their house, or they've left mine, or whatever, and like, they're not saying it because they feel obligated to, or because they feel like they need to, or whatever. It's because they care. They genuinely care. They love me. It was hard to do. Like, why? Why would they say that? And there doesn't need to be a reason. You don't have to have a reason to love somebody. There's no. I kind of take it back to my faith, my Christianity, and it's a small issue I have with the Mormons, is that a part of their beliefs, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but a part of theirs is, it's kind of an acts-based thing. The things you do are what helps you get into heaven. And in my Christianity, in my beliefs, the way I understand it is that you just have to accept that you have been loved, and that somebody did something so selfless for you as a showing of how much they care. That's all it takes. That's all it takes, is for you to accept that somebody who had no reason to love you, no, if anything, they had reasons to do quite the opposite. If you're being dishonoring, if you're being disrespectful, if you're being, these terrible, horrible things, you don't deserve it. You genuinely don't. But then in this case, Jesus said, you know what? I'm gonna bear this for you. Not because you've done anything to deserve it, but because of how much I love you. I was like, damn. That's some shit right there. Somebody willing to die for me because they love me and they care for me, and not because I deserve it, not because I've earned it, because there's nothing I could do to earn somebody saying, no, you don't have to pay that price. I'm going to do it for you. I was like, wow, blow my mind. And so in that moment, I recognized that. I recognized how much of a show of love it was from the person who told me, ride safe. How much that meant. What that meant coming from them. And so I took the time to thank them. It's not something I would have typically done, because I didn't think I deserved it. But for me to stop and tell them, I was like, you know what, thank you. I didn't realize how important it was, or how much you cared to say that, and that, all these months that I've known you, it never struck me that you said it because you loved, or because you cared. I thought it was just an obligation that you felt to say it. And it's little things like that give me hope. Help to bring me out of the hole, and to say, you're loved, you're cared. It's the little things in life that I've been choosing to ignore, that I need to acknowledge and give more power, and that you do too, if you're struggling. And I know that some of you are. I don't know if it's just because I've not been paying attention until recently, but I see a lot of you, a lot of guys especially out there who are struggling. I see them posting on Facebook about how life is hard, and and they need help, and all these things. And I've extended an invitation to them, and what they choose to do with that is up to them. But if that's you, it's hard. It's hard to rewire your brain to say, no, I'm not going to choose to look at this negatively. No, I'm not going to choose to think these bad thoughts. I'm going to choose to look at the positive. And it's an active choice. It's a real active choice that should be easy, because it's the right one. And it's not always easy, unfortunately. But to say, hey, that person who reached out to me, they didn't do it because they had to, and they didn't do it because they felt compelled to, or because they're obligated to, or because of anything like that. They did it because they care, because they love me. And no, I might not even know them. In this case, I know these guys' names. Maybe I went to school with them. Some of them I don't know if I've ever met. But they care. The world's a hard place. It's a rough place to be. And just realizing how much people care is hard. So I'm praying for each and every one of you out there who are struggling right now, who feel like they're alone and that they can't do it by themselves, and are hurting, and are in pain, and all the terrible, horrible things that I've been feeling for the last year. I'm praying for you. I don't want you to choose what I was considering last Tuesday night, so I'll just hang myself. I'll go do this, I'll go do that to make it end, because there's more to life than that. And if you need the help, please do what it takes to reach out and get it. Thank you very much.